Absolutely.
Morse code is a flag.
I went yesterday.
I'm just a few years behind you.
Chief over there.
Yeah.
Here's a senior member.
He just walked up. He's looking back to figure out who he's talking about. 'Cause he said, he told me he feels like he's in the story. You already. That's right. That's right.
All right, good afternoon. If y'all want to get started here, start in a second. Take your positions.
Yeah.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Invocation, Alderman Ashley.
Our gracious Lord, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for the beautiful weather. We just ask that you would be with us tonight, Lord, that we can get things done in the city, Lord, that would be appealing to the people and also to you. We love you. We ask these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Reagan.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Here.
Peggy Johnson. Brad Ford.
Here.
Jeff Dorey.
Here.
Dicky Bachelor.
Here.
Ernie Martin.
Here.
Sandy Marks. Here. Samuel Reggie.
Here.
Byron Rowridge.
Here.
Thank you, ma'am. No public hearings. Appearances. Mr. Rob Carter with Kohler, Slavin and Company, our independent auditors, is here to give his report.
Thank you, Mayor.
And sure, if you want to turn your mic on, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you all for having me here tonight. What we're going to go over tonight is a summary of the results of the audit for the year ending August 31st, 2023. Before I get started on that, for us in the accounting world, this is a pretty big deal, the fact that we're even here right now. So I want to thank the mayor and his staff, Ms. Dunn, who's not here, who was very instrumental in getting us this information, and Christine from my office. They put in a lot of extra hours to get us here and hopefully get you guys compliant again. Each of you should have a small packet in your in the blue packet. It's the City of Crowley Audit Report presentation. We're going to go over some of the main reports that are included in your audit that you guys should be aware of, some of the findings that resulted from this audit, and then we'll look at a little bit of financial data and try and answer any questions you guys may have. If there's questions we can't answer tonight or you have some after the fact, the mayor knows how to get in touch with me. I'd be happy to sit down with anybody and go over this in more detail. If you look at the first page of that small packet there, it's a summary of what we're going to go over, and the page numbers that you can find this information on. The first report you guys should be aware of is located on pages 1 through 4 in the big blue packet. Your audit is 142 pages. That's why I'm picking out the page numbers for you so you can follow along if you need to. Our independent auditor's report is our sole responsibility as part of the audit. As part of this audit, we express an opinion on your audited financial statements. And in that report, we make you aware that management is responsible for the preparation and presentation of the financial statements. Our responsibility as the auditor is to express an opinion on your audited financial statements. You guys received what's referred to as an unmodified opinion. Unmodified is the best opinion you can get on your audited financial statements. If we would modify your opinion, that would let the readers of these financial statements know that there's something inaccurate and not in accordance with GAAP. So we have to make them aware of that. And in your case, we were able to get your financials to a condition where they are in accordance with GAAP. So anybody who reads these, legislative auditors, your bond companies, the bond rating agencies, S&P, those guys, you should be happy with this report that they're seeing here. It is the same report you guys have received for the last several years. The other report that you guys should be aware of can be located on page 125 through 126. That's the independent auditor's report on internal control and compliance. As part of a governmental audit, we are required to consider the city's internal controls and determine the extent of our audit procedures based on your controls. Our consideration was not designed to express an opinion on your internal controls. So unlike financial statements, controls can be different for each entity. What works best for them and still helps avoid collusion and theft. Due to the limited extent of our internal control procedures, deficiencies in internal control, including fraud or abuse, could exist and not be detected by us. Our procedures note the following findings on page 134 through 140, if you want to read them in more detail. We'll go through those briefly. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those. I also want to point out that the audit period we are looking at is kind of in between administration, started in 22, finished in 23, so some of these are carryovers. The first one is financial records and reconciliations. This is a repeat finding from 2028 or 2018. The city failed to adequately reconcile bank accounts, interfund transfers, and subsidiary ledgers on a monthly basis. This resulted in several journal entries to get the books so they were in accordance with GAAP, and this did happen again this year. Management has responded to that. We are in agreement with their response. They have contracted getting this done. Who's going to help move this forward, and that he brought in a pretty good team. So I think he's going to have a good group of people to get this accomplished probably within this year, if I had to guess. The first part of the year, again, this kind of late has passed, so this finding may come up again for the first couple of months of the next fiscal audit. Sales tax transfers, there's several sales tax due from accounts on your financial statements. These due tos and due froms need to be reconciled and cleared up. This is a repeat finding also. You guys get certain sales tax monies, they are dedicated, so it's important that those are put in the proper funds. Again, management has responded to these. They've already started this process as of our meeting. They're going to go back and find out where the errors initially occurred, and they're going to fix those. Just meeting with them briefly, they do have a good plan in place, and I do expect this one will go away. For 2023, the audit period that we just did, those numbers didn't increase. So 2023 was done correctly. For the most part, this is a finding that resulted from prior years, which they should be able to rectify. Policies and procedures for payroll. We did some testing on payroll this year, and we noted that there were some employees that were given pay increases without the proper documentation in their files. This lack of supporting documentation could not substantiate the pay increases that those employees did receive. And there is also not controls in place and procedures regarding the approval process for employee pay rates. All this should be included in the payroll files. It was not in the ones that we tested, some of the ones that we tested this year. So we did have to issue this finding again this year. Again, it's a repeat from 2022, and it occurred again in 23. Again, management has responded to these. They've already started this process. I'm sure some of you may have heard of it already. But they do have a set of checks and balances that are going to implement. It's going to take a little while with the way the time system works. But I think they do have a good plan in place and should be able to rectify this one. 2023-004, inadequate segregation of accounting duties. This is again a repeat from the prior year. There are a few segregation accounting functions that are overlapping within the city now. Some of that has to do with the change in personnel. You're all aware there's been a substantial amount of change in personnel the last couple of years. As a result, some people have taken on more work than they probably should have. This is very common in our smaller entities. You guys do have the proper amount of staff to segregate, and they already have a process in place, and they're going to figure out how to do that within the next year. I expect this one to go away also. 2023-005, this is a budget non-compliance. We did have a budget non-compliance in the prior years. This one is pretty much the same due to the timing of when you guys adopted your budget and how you adopted it. We had a 5% expenditure violation in your general fund, your salary sales tax fund, your 2012 sales tax fund, and your infrastructure improvement sales tax fund. So basically, you overspent your budget by more than 5% in each of those funds. In addition to that, for the 2024 budget, when it was adopted, there was no side-by-side budget message that is required to be presented with these reports. So we had to issue that finding again. This is the first year for that one this year. 2023-006, another compliance finding. We had a late issuance of the report. Anytime your audit report is issued late, we have to issue a finding. It's the same law. We did get an extension for this year, a 30-day extension, which again, I'm very impressed that we made that 30-day extension, but we did, so this will be to the so we're plenty of time. This year, the records were there for the most part. It was getting them correct, but with our accounting profession, we like to change things a lot, and we had a new GASB standard that requires us to capitalize software, and it was very difficult to get that information from the records that we had this year. And then you guys also have what's referred to as a single audit, where we had to actually test 2 of your grants this year in detail. So that delayed the process a little bit more also. I don't expect this one to happen next year. 2023-007, we had a procurement of software and computer equipment that did not follow the bid law process. When you buy computer software and computer equipment, you have an option to follow the bid law process, or you can do an RFP. In this case, either one of these were done. The equipment was purchased outside of the bid law. So we had to issue that finding again this year. That's the list of the findings 1 through 7 as they relate to the current years. Any questions on any of those?
Explain to me, what, I guess the raises, what have you. What formula was used for that? Is there one?
Basically, what we look for is any support. So why a person got a raise. So if we pull a personnel file and their salary went up by 50 cents, there should be proper documentation approved by the mayor and possibly the council, depending on your processes. And that was not located in the files that we tested.
Okay. And the overage of the 5% on the budget compliance, you said was the overage of 5%?
Yes.
What contributed to that?
In most cases, I think it was how your budget process happened the last year. I think you guys just basically rolled forward your last year's budget. You didn't really, didn't have good enough numbers, I think, to properly budget. So I don't think you had much of a choice at the time.
Okay, thank you.
If there's no more questions, we'll go on to the next report that is new for you guys this year. It doesn't happen every year. It's your independent auditor's report on federal awards. Due to the volume of grant awards that you guys received and spent within this last fiscal year, we have to test your federal programs, and then we issue a report based on our findings as it relates to that. Management is responsible for the adherence of the federal rules and regulations. Our responsibility is to express an opinion on compliance of the major programs. And you guys did receive what we refer to as an unmodified opinion on the federal programs. You guys did have 2 findings, but they weren't significant enough to change the modification of the report. The first one was the labor standards. In the LCDG grant, there's a kind of obscure rule regarding payroll of the contractors, that you guys are technically responsible to get certain documentation from your contractors. At that point, when it was tested, there was no documentation for changes in vacation, sick leave, employee benefits. After the audit occurred, all this information was located and provided. So it wasn't there at the time, but it was provided after the fact. So that finding will go away. 2023-009, we talked about the procurement. Unfortunately, the bid law violation was with federal monies. So we had to issue that finding within the federal program audit also. That will go to the federal grantor as well as the legislative auditor. So they will have this information available to them also. Any question on that report of those two findings?
I just have a question. Were there any penalties to the city for non-compliance?
At this point, no. My history with LCDG is they won't try to get that money back. FEMA may have. The monies that were spent for the bid law violation are ARPA funds. We have not had enough experience with that to know for sure. I really doubt it because they kind of declared all that money is usable however you feel necessary.
How much money is we talking about?
The software is approximately $300,000. Software and computers approximately $300,000.
All that off the offer money, you said?
It was ARPA money.
Okay. And you said that they'll probably be coming to get this back?
With ARPA, I doubt it. With FEMA, there would be some question there. ARPA is fairly new as far as the regulations on it.
Right.
And they allowed you to elect the $10 million and under threshold, which you guys did elect. So I don't see that being an issue. It's basically monies that need to be spent.
Okay, because we used to deal with CSBG a lot when I was in the nonprofit world.
CSBG was known to come get the money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they wanted cash.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
If there's no questions on the findings, we'll flip to the summary information on the financials. It's 2 pages. When you flip past that, you'll see a history of the city of Crowley as a whole. What we do is we take all the financials of the city so you can get a picture to see how the city did as a whole. Compared back to 2019, I'll be focused mainly on the second column from the left there, which is your actual for 2023. Again, these numbers are a little dated, but I think they'll show some relevance for you because they're finally good numbers. If you look at the actual column under the revenue section, your total revenues were $23,294,517. Your revenues are up by approximately $4 or $5 million over the prior years. That's primarily to do with the grants that we talked about. You guys did receive a substantial amount of grant awards. That's contributing to that large increase. Positive sales tax growth, positive property tax growth, so that's also a good sign for the city. And your sewer user fees, we're probably starting to see some benefit from that. That was a good increase this year also, and I have another chart that we'll look at that in more detail in a second. So revenues, positive increase, $4 million. If you continue down that page, about the middle of the page, second column, you can see the money that you spent, total expenditures was $32,384,647. You expended about $700,000 more than the prior year, but in a typical year, you're probably about 12 to 13 million more than what you would normally spend. The past 2 years, you guys have been spending proceeds from bonds, mainly on the road overlay. You've had some work in the sewer system. But now you're spending those monies. So you got them back in 2021, now you're starting to spend them. So the numbers are a little bit skewed there, and then you have a large amount of grant money you're spending also. So the 32 million is a very high number, because if you look at the next number, it looks like you had a loss of about $9 million. Again, a little skewed, the revenues hit a couple of years back, the expenses are hitting now. Continuing down the page, very last line, you have a loss of $7,945,000 for this year. If I go back and normalize that, maybe take out some of the grants, take out some of the capital outlay, you would actually be about break even, probably a profit of about $54,000, which would have happened similar in 2022, which is closer to what you will be more in 2020 and 2019 when you stop spending these grant funds and the bond proceeds. So overall, about a $55,000 net, which is not bad. So the consolidated financials for 2023 look pretty good. Just a lot of moving parts this year. It should start to clear itself out in the next couple of years. If there's no questions on that page.
I do have a question, including for us in the room later. You had the study group. Oh, I'm sorry.
We had a study group to review the changing the sewer user fees. What was the final outcome from that review? That was with Christie.
There's no outcome yet. No, dude, okay.
when do we expect we might see a final figure on that?
What happened is,
What happened is we got LRWA's participation in the analysis. We got to the point of verifying their calculations, which were based on averages, average consumptions and so forth. We verified that by running the same numbers through a local model. We were able to see that those two were close enough that we could count on the LRWA model, which is easier to use. We're on the verge of meeting now with the committee. We had to wait because we had to wait for the installation of a new city clerk. And so we've been waiting for her to get her feet planted firmly on the ground before we bring her into the sewer user fee realm.
Okay, so in our analysis, we were pretty close to what a reasonable figure would be updated, and that's the direction that we're gonna go when that finalizes. It wasn't that far off.
In the process of trying to reconcile LRWA's calculations with the local model, we found some changes that we had to make in the rates. We actually had to increase them from what you were going to see.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
your turn.
If you'll turn to the next page, there's a few charts that we like to look at with most municipalities. The main one is the general fund.
What page, I've been reading one thing, going on through this.
It's the handout.
Oh. Go ahead, go ahead. That's good.
The next one is the general fund charts. Typically, to determine the health of a fund, we'd like to see at least 3 months operations available in fund balance. That lets us know that the fund is healthy. It can continue to substantiate the costs that are coming up. If you look at the history since 2029, the blue line is what it costs you to operate for 3 months in your general fund. Typically, your fund balance has not been able to sustain that. 2022, you got that number up pretty close to where your fund balance was actually in excess of 3 months expenditures. But we had a pretty big drop in your fund balance in the general fund this last year, 2.2 million, and that's attributable mostly to expenditures. You guys had pretty substantial increases. There was increases in salaries that affects benefits and payroll taxes. But your insurance really got y'all in 2023. Liability insurance shot up a pretty good bit. And you did have some additional capital outlay, so that caused that drop there. So right now, if I'm looking at it, your fund balance is fairly low for where it needs to be. Typically, you'll be between 2.5 to 3 million in expenditures. So we'll need to focus on probably the expense side. Property taxes should continue to go up, hopefully. And you can use your sales tax, which we'll see on the next chart. If you look at all governmental funds, it's the very next page. City of Crowley is a little unique in the fact that you can use your sales tax for payroll. You can transfer it, you can use it for infrastructure. It's a very good benefit to have. So if I look at the general fund where you're way underfunded, then I look at all the funds, which you can actually use some of these. You can see you have more than enough fund balance to operate the city for a 3-month period if you properly use your sales tax funds. So even though the general fund is a little low, you can use your sales tax monies as you do, and you're not in really that bad shape if I'm just going to focus on your general fund. S&P, all these other guys like to look at just your general fund because the other monies are dedicated. But you guys have a little bit more liberal with sales tax, so it doesn't concern me as much with your general fund being that low. Any questions on those two charts? The last one we're going to look at is the sewer fund. We mentioned it earlier, we've been mentioning it for a couple of years. You can see where the sewer fund has come from since 2019 to 2023. We had losses, substantiated losses, undesignated fund balance in 2019. That's when I believe the sewer user fee was starting to be adjusted. As you can see, you have been able to, 21, you were about dead even, 22 and 23, you now have enough unreserved fund balance to operate that fund properly. It's gone both ways though. You guys have cut costs and you've increased rates. So it's gonna allow you to substantiate and pay for some of these costs that are gonna come with the sewer system over the years. As you're aware, it's very costly to operate that system. But it looks like you guys have finally got enough reserves to operate efficiently for at least 3 months. Any questions on those charts?
With the last increase that went into effect, why do we only have a 3-month, I guess, you say that we have enough to run it for 3 months?
More than 3 months.
How many months we looking
Few- 12,
at? 12 months, or you just mentioned 3 months?
and that's the help. That's what we like to see. If you can do that, then you're doing good. So you're doing better with your undesignated fund balance right now. You did have a surplus of $137,000 this year, which is better than prior years. It's not a huge number. It's only $137,000 for a multi-million-dollar operation, but it is improving finally.
Yeah, but we still tall on the backs of the citizens with this, and, you know, I know I'm getting complaints, I know about the rest of them, but I am. And it's, okay,
The 3-month metric is as if you had no revenue coming
That's correct.
in. So it's not 3 months and you have revenue, it's if you, all revenue stopped, you have 3 months to continue.
Well, and his point was that the 3 month is what they're looking for, at least 3 months. And his point was that it can sustain over 3 months. So he just uses the 3 months because that's their threshold. Like you said, it's a year.
Typically, we would like to see 6 months, but that might be pushing it. And really, we use that metrics and it never has really been necessary until the last couple of hurricanes where we saw Labuche in that area. They suspended property taxes for a full year. So the municipalities and the police jury did not receive anything. They had to borrow money to operate. Now, if they would have had enough reserves, no revenues would have been an issue for them. As I mentioned, if you guys have questions after the fact, please contact me. Be happy to answer those.
let's have one. How, through all the rhetoric and everything that was announced and questioned, where does the city stand?
Right now, there's a little bit of work to do still, but you guys do have a really good team. We've got good numbers for 2023 finally. They're going to work on those going forward. And I think they'll have you something pretty quick.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Rob? Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ross.
All right. Any agenda amendments? Anyone? No amendments to the agenda? Appointments, we need to appoint our city clerk. We have I guess it's a formality, a resignation letter from Lisa. And so we need to appoint Chantel Alamo as the city clerk.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Alderwoman Marks, second from Alderman Core. Discussion. All in favor, we need a roll call, please.
Yes, here. Yes.
Yes or no?
Katie Shazzle,
Yes.
Brad Ford,
Yes.
Jeff Dorey,
Yes.
Dickie Butler,
Yes.
Brian Martin,
Yes.
Sandy Marks,
Yes.
Samuel Reggie, Byron Woolridge.
Yes.
Thank you. Congratulations, Ms. Chantel. So, Chantel is back. For those of you who did not know her, 2021, I think it was her last time as the city clerk here for the city of Crowley. So she knows our city and what's needed. So she's got the experience here. So I talked to the mayor in Karen Crow and I told her, I said, don't be mad because I'm stealing her from you, she said. But Chantel comes from Karen Crow to help us out here. So I'll tell you that she has hit the ground running. Out of respect and professionalism, I won't talk about everything publicly, but anyone is welcome to come and talk with us, meet with her, talk with her. She'll let you know where we're at, what she found when she got into office, and what she's working on to catch up on, and get everything back in line. So, look, her door is always open, except a couple of days ago we had a group of tourists in City Hall and they were a little loud, so she closed the door. But other than that, her door is always open, just as mine is. And she's anxious to meet anyone that she hasn't met and work with all of us. So please go by and visit her and learn from her what you need to know. Approval of minutes from the regular council meeting held on February 19th.
Offered.
Offered by Alderman Martin.
Second.
Second by Alderman Dorey. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Mayor's report. Our sales tax and sewer user fee chart. Sales tax. Some of you, well, all of you, got the email with the sales tax and sewer user fee chart. And then we sent out another one. This is another situation we're finding. You'll see some of the numbers for 23-24 have changed. When we get, each month we get 2 checks from the school board for sales taxes. The first check comes about halfway through the month. The second check comes towards the end of the month or the last day of the month. For 2 months prior, so the checks we've gotten in February were January's collections, returns, but it was actually December's, I'm sorry, let me get this right. Sales taxes collected in December by a business is paid to the school board in January, and we get the check in February. So, because you have to finish out the month of the business has to finish out the month of collecting the sales taxes. So December 31st, starting February 1st, they start figuring out how much sales taxes they've collected, and they start paying their sales taxes to the school board. They have until the 20th to do so. And so the school board starts collecting the previous month's sales taxes. They collect them for the full month before they send us a check the following month. But these numbers have changed a little bit because as city clerks changed, the way that these numbers were put on here, recorded on here, changed up a little bit. We get a report that is not public knowledge of every single business, how much taxable sales they had, how much sales taxes they paid, minus fees and the cost of the school board collecting the sales taxes for us. But the bottom number that we get on that report shows the total number of sales taxes collected by the school board. The checks we receive show a different number. The checks we receive from the school board is minus the fees and the expenses of the school board collecting taxes for us. So when Chantel was here, and we believe before that, we didn't go that far back, but the numbers on this spreadsheet are the amount that the two checks add up to be. Real numbers that the city has to expend. Previously, this past year or so, it was the number of the total number before the expenses from the school board. And we didn't feel as though that was the right number to give out. Not that it's a secret, that total number's public knowledge, but that doesn't give you the actual number that's deposited into the city's banks. So the numbers you'll see here is the actual number that is deposited into the city's banks from sales taxes. The net amount minus all of the expenses and things. So that's why some of these numbers have changed a little bit. But those are actual numbers of the checks that we received for sales taxes. And so we're showing the February checks to be down 3.7%.
So it does look like it's down 3.17%, but I'm fairly confident that the fiscal number for 22, 23 to 728 is good.
Correct.
So if it were net, I just haven't had a chance to update it.
Yeah, but there's a lot going on in that office right now. A lot of things to repair, and so we haven't had time, she hasn't had time to go back last year and update those numbers. So what she's saying is, the numbers previous year, 22, 23, seem to be the total amount, not the net amount, and we have net amount on 23, 24. So hopefully by next month, we'll be able to give you the 22, 23 net numbers, so that the 23, 24 net numbers will be a good comparison for those 2 years.
This is the only month though with the correct number.
No, all of 23, 24 is net numbers.
Okay, gotcha.
She did go back those 5 months and fix those net numbers, correct?
Okay.
What percentage does the school board charge to collect?
Turn your mic on.
What percentage does the school board charge to collect our taxes?
We'll have to find that out. I'm not sure. Tom thinks it's 2.5%. He's asking what percentage the school board charges to collect our taxes.
That's my recollection, it's 2.5%. Maybe 1.5, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, not,
Don't go like that. It's in that range.
yeah,
Total, 2% of total collection.
of our collections, yeah, for the, yes, of the,
All the entities that parish participating pay the same collection fee to the school. Okay, we're no different than anybody else.
right.
No matter how much it is.
It's a percentage of how much it is.
No. What I'm just saying. Flat percent. It's the same no matter when Rain collects so much, Crowley collects, it's the same 2 point whatever percent. The range pays the same percentage.
Percentage.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's correct.
So no matter how much they collect, or how little they collect, it's always.
A percentage of that amount, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can find that out. I'll tell you that, the December, January number was 1,010,000 something.
How much was it?
The total amount, I don't have the exact, I don't remember the exact number, but I do remember it was over 1,010,000 and some change. Because that $1 million in 1 month, was a nice thing to see. But the checks added up to 994,671. Yes, sir.
The difference between the number that I sent you all yesterday and the corrected number by the fees today is on the order of $12,000. Whether that's in sync with what everybody's thinking about the percentage, but we thought the bigger number yesterday was $12,000 more than it is today.
What was the number yesterday?
It was 713, I don't have it in front of me, but it was right around 12,000 more than the 701.
On the January, February connection,
Yes,
yes.
I could find it on my email. I know it was a reduction of about $12,000. So that would seem to be the fee that you.
So it's less than 2.5.
We'll do that research tomorrow and we'll send it out. How much it is. Not that we can change it. And we can't change that, but, okay, sewer user fee. Like Mr. Rob was, reporting, sewer user fees up, from the previous year. Again, it's a different report, so these numbers are probably the same numbers. Because it's just what we collect from LAWCO. LAWCO collects our sewer user fees for us according to the water bill. And then, they write us a check for whatever sewer user fees they collected, minus their portion, I'm sure. I know, by the way, their portion went up a few cents, just a few months ago, for their collection services, rather. Any questions on that? Okay, standing committee reports. Public Works, Alderman Dorey.
Thank you, Mayor. Public Works Committee convened Tuesday, March 12th, 2024, at 5 p.m. in the council chambers. A quorum was present. A motion was made by Alderwoman Sandy Marks, seconded by Alderman Vernon Martin, to approve partial payment estimate number 21 for the release of retainage to Glenn Leger Construction LLC for citywide street improvements, contract 8, project in the amount of $348,273.08. Motion carried. Thus moved.
Second.
Offered. I'm gonna turn that on. Offered by Alderman Dorey, second by Alderwoman Marks. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion was made by Alderwoman Sandy Marks, seconded by Alderman Vernon Martin, to approve partial payment estimate number 16 for the release of retainage to Glenn Leger Construction LLC for the citywide street improvement contract B project in the amount of $488,639.85. The motion carried, and I so move.
Offered by Alderman Dorey,
Second.
second by Alderwoman Marks. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
A motion is made by Alderwoman Sandy Marks, and, well, I guess it's seconded, it doesn't say it, but it's seconded by Brad Cord to move Mr. Wesley Jacobs' request to a skid steer to the Revenue and Finance.
You missed one, Mr. Dorey.
I missed one. A motion was made by Alderwoman Sandy Marks, seconded by Alderman Vernon Martin to amend the agenda to approve the purchase of a skid steer up to $86,000 using money from the reclaimed sales. After a roll call vote, the The vote was unanimous and the motion carries. I so
You don't need to move on that.
And the next one was, the motion was made by Alderman Sandy Marks and Alderman Brad Corey to move Wesley Jacobs' request of the skid steer to the Revenue and Finance Committee. Motion carried, I so moved.
So we need you to make a motion to approve the purchase of a skid steer up to $86,000 and recommend to Revenue and Finance. Recommend approval.
So we make the motion, okay?
All right. Yeah, it's in. We're good. It's in Revenue and Finance, so. We don't need a motion for it.
Okay. Under non-action items, Public Works Director Albert John presented his monthly report. Street Commissioner Wesley Jacob presented his monthly report. In that report, he spoke about the Department of Motor Vehicles parking lot needing repair. Mr. Jacobs asked the council to approve the purchase of the new skid steer, $86,000 from money from the reclaimed sales. City Engineer Tim Mayer presented the monthly report. Alderman Vernon Martin asked about the city's employees cutting grass in the center ditch in his district. Mayor also explained that to Alderman Martin that it's the responsibility of the landowners to keep the grass on the right way and they're cut properly. No further business to come before Public Works, the committee convened.
And just a point from, to add to the Department of Motor Vehicles building, I got a request today. They want us to install security cameras for their safety. So they still have some more requests for that building. Thank you, Mr. Dore.
Wait, before you
Yes,
move
sir.
on, did you get a chance to check on that grass thing?
I have not had any luck on getting any other information on that yet.
Well, we need to do something, because Head Start is, the grass, before you know it, is gonna be out of control, and snakes and everything else gonna be roaming on the property.
We'll have to work on it, and it's, that's what
The ditch actually belongs to the drainage board, not the city's.
Well, we had that discussion, and apparently they're not gonna cut, somebody needs to cut. Okay, I'm asking the question.
Well, you can't go out there and cut grass on the property that
I
belongs to the city.
understand that, but the conversation was that the MOU would be acquired, but apparently he didn't have time to do it.
No, I never said we would do an MOU. I said we can cut the city's portion of that ditch. We own property up to behind Ross Head Start. We can cut the city's, that lot that the city owns, we can cut that portion of the ditch on our side because that's what we own. But we can't, and I tried to explain this to you last week, we can't cut the interstate without getting paid for it.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but at the same token, it was understood by me, maybe I misunderstood, that you would contact the bodies, whether it's the drainage board and Brad, we did have that conversation, correct? If something would, whether it's a conversation or whatever, a promise or hope, where the grass needs to be cut. I mean, if it's the duty of the drainage board, well, that's holding them to the fire. Okay, if it's school board, that's holding them to the fire. What I'm saying is, everybody's kicking the can down the road, but the grass needs to be cut. You know, that's all I ask. I mean, I don't care who cuts it. That's why if the conversation was that the MOU would be changed one way or the other. That's all I ask. I didn't ask for nobody to go on private property. That's the reason why I use the MOU.
Can I ask you a question?
Mr. Dorey, go ahead.
Okay, who's been cutting it in the past?
Yeah.
Let's,
No.
let's do this. Let's find out Tom, you might be able to research and see who's been taking care of the grass.
Nobody.
In between you and Brian.
Drainage board to spray, use the spray.
That's it.
Yeah,
All they do is
the drainage board doesn't want to spray it because of erosion, so, we'll talk to the drainage board, and our legal, and see what we can do. Like I said, I know that we can cut the portion that is on the city's property, but that's behind Ross. The school board owns the other section. We'll get with them.
Give us some insight on it from the drainage board side. Because I don't know.
Well, the drainage board doesn't own property. We have a right of way to maintain the ditch for drainage purposes.
Well, who owns the ditch?
Typically, like I mentioned in the meeting, committee meeting stuff, that a lot of property owners go to the center of the ditch. I'm not sure there, maybe Tom can, we would have to, but to my knowledge, the drainage board doesn't own property at all. So it's incumbent upon the property owner, whoever that may be, within the ditch to maintain it.
Well, I mean, if you go and look at the property, and it was a switch at one time. At one time, the city of Crowley owned Ross, and the school board owned the property behind it. We switched out. I was doing, I forgot what administration was, but it was a switch, okay? But in the meantime, while that was being done, nobody wanted to take control of cutting the grass. I'm looking, I mean, at the end of the day, if something happened to one of those kids, it would be a snake bite or animal or whatever, okay? Who's gonna take the responsibility? I mean, right now, the only thing I'm asking the city to do is call the school board, just like what you said, because I thought it was kind of crazy when it was said that the drainage board owned property. I said, well, the only thing they're in charge of is making sure the water flows, okay? But, I mean, in our conversation at that time, that was thrown in as probable cause, which I knew it wasn't, but I didn't want to get deep into that. So right now, the question is between the school board, whether the MOU gonna be done with them, or the city of Crowley taking on, the grass has to be cut. Okay, it doesn't matter who does it, okay? We've already, now we acknowledge that the drainage board does not own it, so that eliminates one.
Well, as far as I know, we.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying that.
We're not finding, the time of research to find out who owns it. But as far as cutting the grass for beautification, the drainage board does not do that. We have miles and miles of ditches that.
Well, in this case, it's not beautification, it's public safety.
Okay, real quick, Wesley spoke with the drainage board.
Okay.
This is not on the agenda, so we're kind of getting off beaten path here, but just so Wesley can give some information on what he found out.
All right, I did have the opportunity, Cole got me in touch with Mr. Habits. I went and met with him after the meeting, last Tuesday. We go around, showed him the concerns about the ditches. And he said, just what Mr. Cole said, that the drainage board is required to keep the drainage going through,
right,
but they don't own any property.
Right.
So they don't cut it. They spray every so often, but they can't spray too much because of the
Because of the
erosion. He
erosion,
said
right.
that.
Okay.
And like the mayor said, the property behind Ross is the city of Crowley, so we gotta figure out a way to cut it. And I'm gonna look at it. We don't have any equipment to cut it, but I'm gonna try something. But right now, it's, don't quote me as 100% the law, but the property owners on each side of that canal
Supposed to go to the middle.
is required to cut that.
Yeah, 50 down the river, just like the same thing with the road.
So
I agree.
any property that we own along it, we gonna cut it. I'll figure out a way to do it. I don't have the manpower or equipment right now, but by now y'all know how to do it.
Yeah, but
We'll get with the school board about Ross and let them know that we're getting complaints for it. And see if they can cut the grass along that side there.
well, just like we have the MOU with the state, to cut the grass on I-10, we can do something with them as well. That's the only thing I'm saying. Let's try and help them out, because summer's here and the grass, by the time they get back over the holidays, summer break, let's just do something. It doesn't matter how much we do, but do something. Wes,
Thank you,
I
sir.
appreciate it.
Utility Committee, Alderman Martin.
Thank you. Okay, Utility Committee convened Tuesday, March 12th, the council chambers, quorum was present. On the action item, a motion was offered by Alderwoman Sandy Marks and second by Alderman Jeff Dorr to adopt the annual MWPP resolution required under the city wastewater treatment plant discharge permit. Motion carried, and I so move.
Second.
Offered by Alderman Martin, second by Alderwoman Marks. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
A motion was offered by Alderwoman Sandy Marks and second by Alderman Jeff Dorr to approve partial payment estimate number 16 to NCMC LLC for the rehabilitation of the sewer collection system project in the amount of $16,774.69. Motion carried, and I so move.
Offered by Alderman Martin,
Second.
second by Alderman Core. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
On the non-action items, wastewater superintendent Tim Craig presented his monthly report, and engineer Tim Mader presented his report. There being nothing further to come before this committee, we recess.
Thank you, sir. Recreation, Alderman Ashley.
Recreation Committee convened Tuesday, March 12, 2024 at 5 p.m. in the council chambers. A quorum was present. Under action items, there was none. Under non-action items, Recreation Director Peter Kirsch presented the monthly Recreation Department report. City Engineer Tim Mader presented the monthly Engineer's report. There was no further business to come before the Recreation Committee, and the committee recessed.
Thank you, sir. Zoning annexation, Alderman Reggie.
Thank you. Zoning and Annexation Committee convened Tuesday, March 12, 2024, 5 p.m. in the council chambers. The quorum was present. Under action items, a motion was made by Alderwoman Sandy Marks and seconded by Alderman Dicky Botchley to amend the agenda to include a proposal from the City of Crowley Planning Commission to re-subdivide the property as shown on preliminary and final plat, showing as Section 43, Township 9 South, Range 1 East, Lot 5B, shown situated on the plat located in the City of Crowley, Acadia Parish. Roll call is unanimously approved, and the motion carried. And the motion was made by Alderman Sandy Marks and seconded by Alderman Chuck Ashby to approve the proposal upon review and approval of the design review agent for the re-subdivided property. I'll skip all that. Shown situated on the plot, located on Rice Capital Parkway in the City of Crowley. Motion carried, and I so move.
Offered by Alderman Reggie, second by Alderman Martin. Discussion?
Mayor,
Mr. Mayor.
you all have a copy of the plat, it wasn't with us, from the previous last week. All I'd like you to do is change the description to read the way the title reads on the plat, which is preliminary and final plat for Dixie Field Property LLC, showing lot 5B being a commercial subdivision.
That's just gonna change, Sandy's motion to reflect that. Are you good with that?
That'd be fine.
Okay.
So you approving as written? Is that what you're doing?
No, no.
I'm going to change my motion to,
You wanna say it again, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, again, it's on the title block at the bottom left, preliminary and final plat for Dixie Field Property LLC, showing lot 5B being a commercial subdivision.
So you approve it, you want to approve it as you just read it?
As he read it, yes.
That's what I said. You
Yes,
don't
sir.
approve it, correct.
so I'll amend my motion to say what Mr. Mayor said.
Okay. Mr. Martin, you good with your second on that?
I'm good.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Under non-action items, there were none, and there was no further business to come before Zoning and Annexation Committee, and the committee recessed.
Thank you, sir. Public Safety, Alderman Core.
Thank you, Mayor. The Public Safety Committee convened Tuesday, March 12, 2024 at 5 p.m. in the council chambers, and a quorum was present. Under action items, the motion was made by Alderman Brian Core and seconded by Alderman Jeff Dorey to approve a request for the DOTD traffic study for the area of Fairway Drive and North Ferguson Avenue. After discussion among the council and mayor, Alderman Brian Core withdrew the motion. The motion was made by Alderman Brian Core and seconded by Alderman Jeff Dorey to consider incorporating that section of Samerville Road east of Southeastern Avenue and adjacent to the Crowley city limit to allow the Crowley Police Department to enforce speeding and other traffic violations in this area. The mayor suggested looking into an agreement between the Sheriff's Department and the Crowley Police, allowing the Crowley City Police to take care of the traffic detail on this stretch of roadway. Alderman Brad Cord then withdrew the motion. On the non-action items, Chief of Police Troy Avery gave his monthly report. Fire Chief Louis Romero gave his monthly report. He asked the council allow him to surplus the fire department safety trailer. Alderman Brad Cord read the report provided by Tony Duhon. Alderman Vernon Martin asked Chief Avery how many cameras the police department was putting up around the city, and if a camera could be placed near Head Start on Western Avenue. Mr. Albert Hayes spoke to the council about receiving a speeding ticket at 5:30 a.m. near a park. He said he thought that the speed limit was only during daylight hours. Police Chief Avery told him that the speed limit was posted near the parks. The posted speed limit near the parks are always at speed, no matter what time of day. Mayor Monson spoke about grants that will be available for citizens of Crowley to apply for, to allow the demolition of their property at little or no cost to the citizen.
That should be at no cost to the citizen.
At no cost to the
Right.
city.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes.
Discussion ensued about personal property that has been stored on the city street right of way along South Avenue M. Mayor Monson stated that he will speak to legal counsel again. Fire Chief Louis Romero stated that this property being stored on the right of way is a hazard to the fire department if they have a fire in that area. There was no further action to come before the Public Safety Committee, and the committee recessed.
And so I want to update y'all on some of that stuff that was discussion, and some of it that was withdrawn. The Fairway Drive deal, we actually have a date as of today, April 19th, I think it is. We're meeting our quarterly meeting with the DOTD engineers, Mr. Core and Mr. Dore. I did send that calendar invite to you two. If one of you do not want to attend, we can extend it to another council. We just can't have too many council members there. But it would be, you know, I would like for some of y'all to be able to be there just so you know what's going on, if nothing else. So we will be discussing the Fairway Drive situation there. The Standard Mill Road deal, Alderman Core actually did some homework also on this. He spoke with the sheriff, and preliminary conversation is that it is not possible for the city police to be given permission by the sheriff's office to do the traffic in that section. We'll keep working on that. In the meantime, I have spoken with our local state troopers and asked them if they could help us out with controlling some traffic in that area on Standard Mill there. So we'll keep working towards a solution to help control some of the traffic in that area. What else was it? There was something else. Oh, the South Avenue M, we have some stuff in the works, and you should see something within the next 15 or so days, 15 to 20 days. We'll call Steve to come watch.
I need to check on.
Ms. Martin?
Okay, I was waiting for Albert to come, but apparently he had another meeting with the school board, whatever, who handles it.
I don't know why your mic's not working, but yeah, unplug the backup Byron, and plug it back.
We share everything. This now.
It starts over here. I don't know why.
Okay, well, basically, Chief, the question is where he had got the ticket. Is it posted like from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. a certain speed limit, and is it goes back to the original after that, and between that, how does it read? because he had called and I told him I would ask the question. Just offhand.
Yeah, in all parks in the city, the speed limit is 15 miles an hour in front of all parks at all times. This particular ticket was issued not at 5 in the morning, but at a little after 7 in the morning. All the parks are posted
Okay,
to 15 miles an hour. I don't know exactly where they had on that block, but all the
Okay.
parks are posted unless the sign got knocked down or something.
okay, so basically, just to be clear and clarify, all blocks is in that reduced rate, no matter what time of the day it is.
By ordinance, yes.
Yeah, all right,
Yes.
all right, thank you. I'll refer that to you.
You know, while we're on the topic of, Northern Avenue, the speed limit sign, I did notice it is leaning over. And if we could have that erected straight, and,
Wesley's listening to you as you speak.
yes. Thank you.
Yes,
And
sir.
I'm getting, West.
Right. Still, yes, sir.
The Tony Roby Show complex, what's the speed limit around there?
I'd have to look at the signs. I'm not sure what Mill Street is. I
I think it's 25 on here.
think it's 25.
Yeah, so do we need to see about that?
If it's not in ordinance, it's posted by ordinance. If it's less than, I think it's 35 miles an hour, all 25 mile an hour speed limit locations are listed by each street, avenue, or boulevard in the ordinance. It's all listed in the ordinance. So Mill Street may be listed, and I can pull up the ordinance, but you can go and look at it on Muni Code, it's online. That street may be listed by ordinance at 25 miles an hour. It's not a neighborhood park, so it may be a different. Before I was here, that was done, okay? Before any of us was here, somebody else chose that. But that doesn't mean that the council can't change the ordinance and say that Mill Street at that location needs to be.
But there's other roads around there too. I forget what avenue, going south and.
Oscar Johnson and C
and there's
and
a lot of
Bronco,
roads
yeah.
there. I'm just curious, means there's a lot of kids that actually go to.
We could, yeah, we could look at it,
All right.
That's something we can look at, definitely. Correct. Okay, public buildings, Alderman Woolridge.
Mayor, I
Yes,
just want to comment on the Biden property. I know that there was some clarification from what was posted in the news.
Yes,
And also, as we discussed earlier, it includes not only residential properties, but
so the grant, that is being, spoken about for blighted properties is some LCDBG funds. It is funds that, are specifically for blighted properties and the demolition and cleanup of these properties, not the repair and maintenance and updating of these properties. If a property owner wants to repair and update and maintain their property, they have to do that on their own. This is specifically for blighted properties which need to be demolished. The property needs to be cleaned up. This grant is for commercial and residential properties that would be at no cost to the property owner or the city to have it demolished and the property cleaned, not repaired. Repair is not in it. The news station put two stories together. So they had some gentleman in the Martin Luther King Park, St. Teresa Park, which is Dusson Park, that was on the TV saying that they need to clean up these houses, they need to tear down these houses, they need to repair these houses. This used to be a good neighborhood, and I used to play in this park and all that stuff. And then they called me and asked me about the blighted properties, and I said, look, I need to talk to y'all anyway about the blighted properties and this grant that we're working on, because we need to get this information to the people, to the property owners. And so she came to my office and I talked about the grant. And so the gentleman in the park talking about repairing houses that need to be repaired, and me sitting in my office telling them that we're getting a grant to help property owners demolish their homes, were put together. And so people understood that it was a grant for repairs and demolition. And it is, unfortunately, it's not. And the process is that for this grant, we have to be able, these properties have to be ready to demolish. They have to have gone through the process of condemnation and demolition through the council or whatever process we have. Other cities have done this, and we really and truly just took a letter from another city, actually a smaller community, and edited it to be Crowley's letter, instead of reinventing the wheel. And we are asking these property owners to volunteer to have their properties cleaned up and demolished. And once that paperwork is signed and they understand that nobody's gonna own your property after that, this is free and clear, because that's stated in the paperwork for the grant, that there shall be no liens on the property afterwards containing the demolition and stuff. And once we have these people sign up for it, we'll turn this list in with the grant and say, we have, hopefully, I'm hoping we have 100 properties, people that wanna clean up their properties. We have all of these properties, we're estimating it's gonna cost us this much money. Give us our $500,000 so we can get some contractors over here and clean up these people's property for free. So that's what the grant is about. It has nothing to do with repairs.
Thanks, Mayor, for that clarification. We're getting calls because of the clarification.
Correct.
So to be correct, that for a property owner, residential or commercial, are you saying that they will have to have gone through the process of?
No, they can sign up, they can volunteer to have their properties cleaned. Call City Hall, talk with Tamika, she will get them in touch with the right people, and they will actually go over there to meet the property owners and say, here's the paperwork, here's an explanation, any questions, call me, and we'll make sure that they understand it's legitimate and it's real and it's, it's there, so.
Good, thank you. It's really important that they get the clarification so
Absolutely.
they know what they're getting, and it's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Thank
Other
you.
cities have done this, and they've been able to demolish and
It's
clean up their
wonderful, thank
properties.
you.
Mr. Reggie?
So does it specify that we have to use a contractor?
No.
Well, could the city do it?
Sure.
So my thought about it is Mr. Wesley needs a ton of stuff. So if he was able to get $500,000 to tear some stuff down, to get some equipment, could we go that route too?
We probably could. I'll tell you, there's more to it than just going out there and tearing it down, because he ain't got enough employees to do the work he's gotta do now, much less tear down 100 houses. But, we definitely can visit that option. We may be able to do some of them and hire contractors to do others. It's the manpower part that the first thing that I can think of. Wesley's ready, I promise you. Mr. Martin.
Okay. So you're saying, now, I watch the little program, little TV or whatever the news thing. And I spoke to a few people and they say that they got a director from the office.
Sam, that's you that fixed it or
Okay, and I tried my best to try to make them understand that the monies could not be used to rebuild one's home,
Correct.
okay?
Unfortunately, that's correct.
And it was a little argument, saying, well, we got it straight from the mayor, and I explained to them again, you cannot use city funds to rebuild. But anyway, you use the term for people to volunteer. how many people we have that have went through the process? We didn't argue about that, we got people on the books in 2014, when this property brought us in.
We are going to those people first
Okay,
and asking them before we require them to do it, although it's passed through the process. We want to give them the opportunity to benefit from the grant also.
well, I mean, at the end of the day, we're going back to square one. They already been told to demolize and pass the council. Why don't we just follow through with it?
The ones from 2014, I can't speak on.
Well, I mean, if
But the
it's
ones
there-
we've done over the past year,
I mean, we had a bunch of them before this last year.
Ah.
Come on now. I mean, with cab or whatever, I don't know how many.
yes, sir. The ones that we have done, this body sitting here and myself over the past year, we're gonna ask those people to, if they want to participate in this program. To me, it's not fair to say, oh, we done got you, and in 6 months, we're gonna have money, so we're gonna charge you to tear down yours, but these people we not. I'd like to give those people the opportunity. If they don't take that opportunity, that's on them. We'll tear them down and it'll happen. But I'd like to give those people that opportunity too. The goal is not to cost people monies that they don't have already to clean up their property. The goal is to encourage these people to clean up their property. And thankfully, we have an opportunity here that we may be able to help do that at no cost to them.
Yeah,
So that's why we want to give them that opportunity.
But I still feel, we got some houses that has trees growing out of them.
Yes, sir.
To me, they should be the first to be told, if there's any money left, then we encourage people from the citizenship to come up. But it's just my opinion, I don't know how the rest of the council, I'm just one vote on this, but I would say, instead of going bottom down, let's go, top down, let's go from bottom up. Let's clear all the ones, because the reason why they hadn't had those tore down, because they didn't have the money.
Well, and a lot of that stuff is multiple errors, and that's another issue. There's a long laundry list of issues to get some of this stuff done, and so we're hopeful that even those properties with multiple errors, we will be able to work with them and help them get it done also. So, we're not gonna make anybody do it with this grant, we're gonna ask them to do it. Once they pass up that opportunity and the grant's over with, then they'll have to be dealt with then.
Well, I'm just thinking about the neighbors that still living on side of these.
I agree with you.
Okay.
Okay,
Mayor, I have one question.
yes, sir.
Time frame for these individuals who volunteer to have it done, how long, is there a window of time that they need to do it by?
Tim, you wanna,
Yeah, the next round of applications, we're being told, will be due in December. So there is plenty of time. CAB is already boots on the ground, talking to people, bringing the paperwork to them for them to volunteer, et cetera. So this being almost April, I think we have plenty of time to get 100 homes.
yes. Okay, public buildings, Alderman Wildridge.
Public Buildings Committee convened Tuesday, March 12, 2024 at 5 p.m. in council chambers. A quorum was present. On the action items, there was none. On the non-action, there was none. There was no further business coming before public buildings, so we recess.
Thank you, sir. Insurance and Personnel, Alderwoman Marks.
The Insurance and Personnel Committee convened Tuesday, March the 12th, 2024, at 5 p.m. in the council chambers. A quorum was present. There were no action items. There were no non-action items. There was no further action to come before the Insurance and Personnel Committee, and the committee recessed.
Thank you, ma'am. Community Economic Development, Alderwoman Chasson.
Thank you. The Community and Economic Development Committee convened Tuesday, March 12, 2024, 5 o'clock p.m. in the council chambers. A quorum was present. Under action items, a motion was made by Alderwoman Katie Chasson and seconded by Alderwoman Sandy Marks to approve the suspension of the open container ordinance to allow Crowley Main Street to serve for consumption wine on North Parkinson Avenue between the courthouse and 2nd Street in the city of Crowley during the organization's Art and Wine Show scheduled for Saturday, May 4th 2024, from 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. And I so move.
Offered by Alderwoman Chasson, second by Alderman Martin. Discussion? Alderman Reggie recused himself. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Non-action items, Alderwoman Katie Chasson spoke about upcoming events in Crowley. There was no further action to come before the Community and Economic Development Committee, and the committee recessed.
Thank you, ma'am. Revenue and Finance, Alderman Lachlan.
Thank you, Mayor. The Revenue Finance Committee convened Tuesday, March 12, 2024, 5 p.m. in the council chambers. The quorum was present. On the action items, a motion was made by Alderman Vernon Martin, seconded by Alderman Brad Cord, to amend the agenda to include the purchase of a skid steer for the street department using up to $86,000 of the money from the reclaimed sales. Motion carried. A motion was made by Alderman Vernon Martin and seconded by Alderman Brad Cord to approve the purchase of a skid steer for the street department using up to $86,000 of the money from the reclaimed sales. Motion carried, and I so move.
Second.
Offered by,
Vote on the first one?
no, that was to amend the agenda. That was amend the agenda. Offered by Alderman Lachlan, second by Alderwoman Marks. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Wastewater superintendent got a smile on his face. He needs to use that thing. Mr. Lachlan, there are no further business, but
With no other business to come before the committee, and the committee recess.
you good. FYI, the auction has taken place this past Saturday. 27 of the 87 items have been picked up so far as of today. I don't have an exact number of how much was sold, but it was about $28,000 worth.
Did everything sell?
There was a handful of 3 or 4 things that did not sell.
What happens to those?
Trash. According to the resolution you passed. Trash. Motion to adjourn? Offered by,
We don't have any resolution.
no, we don't,
It's not a
that's,
resolution. Committee report.
yeah, we did it through. All right, offered by Alderman Core,
Second.
second by Alderman Marks, all in favor? Thanks. Thank y'all so much for all you do.
If you had questions, I said, look, man, the best thing to do is talk to you. We'll talk.
I don't know, need to write stuff down.
Basically what this is saying.
What you got on the side?
My mail. So they classify this as equipment. You can do it 2 ways. Just what Rob just said.
They said when they get, when they do something. No, I was gonna say, it's just
Contractors.
what, 10 days, 15 to 20 days.
The hardest thing to do is you already know that. Where it's like, go to somebody and have them give you the specs. Forget that. You gotta have, look, engineers have to start with something. Who sells what we need, okay? You gotta go to those guys and do they meet your specifications? I've already asked.
What do you offer? You know, so they send me all the specs and everything that they have, and because I want to know what kind of night vision y'all have, so they send me all the specs on the cameras and stuff.
Find the one you like, And then you have the secretary to rewrite that, so it doesn't have proprietary manufacturer's name on it. And then you put that out. I suggest you go this route, because then you don't have to advertise for this. This is request for I'm gonna give you this. This is what I sent to you.
I had, looked at it and talked to my and go with this 4 cent.
Right. Well,
Thank you, ma'am.